We are live. This is the market update. I'm your host, Bill Noble. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And if the content works for you, please hit the like button. Two things today. Why are we watching grass grow in Bitcoin and Ethereum? In other words, why did we go down only and then a patch of grass? And has the Supreme Court come out with a ruling in an obscure tax case that just handed XRP and the crypto community a victory over Gary Gensler? Is this a quiet shockwave that just happened that people haven't totally figured out yet? In other words, did the Supreme Court just accidentally save crypto? And which is more important? The potential thing with XRP or the fact that Silvergate may be triggering a forced liquidation event? Don't go anywhere. You're going to want to see a Twitter thread I did on XRP. Let's welcome who's on the scene. We have Steve J, Rugby Performance Lab, King here with the Notorious Love. Thank you. Richard Barry is here, Augusta, Georgia, right? Rudy is doing well on the short side. Bart says don't sleep on Phantom. Cuboid is here up in New Zealand. Good morning. Crypto Bullseye is here from the UK. Welcome. Steve J, Mind Rest. I'm here, man. I'm here. AZ, Sarah, welcome. CH, Wakey. Joseph made it from California. Zoran is here from Croatia, right? Mind Rest that says he's got opinions of his own, but he has grown attached to the show. We appreciate that. And the 12 to 1,500 people who watch every day, right? Watch every day. Steven Donato with the Notorious Love. Thank you. Saskatchewan is in the house. Thank you for coming in. Hossam. Let me see. Okay. Just changed the video resolution. That should be better. That should be better. Let us comment. Let us know if that is better. This thing just will not stay in high def resolution. Am I coming in high def now? YouTube is extremely zoomed in. All right. Maybe I can solve this by going screen share. The video is still wrong. Okay, let's go to screen share and try to carry on. Now, let's talk about the bad news first. People, in my mind, are allergic to FUD. They just can't handle anymore. So you know what? I'm okay with that. So let's talk about Silvergate. Let's talk about why this market, I think, is down only, right? It's like down and dead, okay? Now, Silvergate does not expect to have its annual report filed by the extension date of March 16th. So, in other words, Silvergate cannot file an annual report. Most annual reports for large companies are due by today, March 6th. So it's really not a surprise that Silvergate is probably going out of business. The question is there a counterparty, an exchange? Okay. Is there a counterparty or an exchange that's insolvent or that's forced to liquidate crypto to protect customer funds? That's why I think the market is down only. Someone is just sitting on it. There's just this, if you want to buy some crypto, you can just sort of chew on it. Okay. Okay. Everything is in 360 view, I'm being told. All right. I'm going to carry on with the show. We can't see anything because it's in concave view. Okay. I'm going to stop the screen share. Appreciate all the feedback for sure. Try sharing the screen one more time. Okay. Silvergate does not expect its annual report to be filed on time. That's why the market is down only. Now let's go to legacy. Fear of ratings downgrade puts company off debt-driven yield. Okay, this is the most important thing from this. And I'm wondering how this is going to affect crypto. U.S. companies, okay, are now paying close to 9% to borrow money. Investors now demand interest payments above 9% per year for U.S. businesses with low scores from credit rating agencies. So if the Fed, keep in mind, Friday is the payroll number, followed by inflation, okay, with Fed testimony. And then there's that Silvergate annual report deadline. So I'm guessing that there's going to be a V bottom in crypto. That prior to reading the XRP news, which I'll go into in a minute, it would seem like there's going to be one last forced liquidation low in crypto. That basically whatever's going to happen with the Fed, whatever's going to happen with Silvergate, whatever's going to happen, okay, is going to unfold in the next 10 days. There's a buying opportunity, in my opinion, coming. The only question is, how nasty is the dip? Seems like the crypto press is pushing back against Gensler. Binance tried to hire Gary in 2018 for closer contact with U.S. regulators. I think it's really going to get exposed how corrupt these guys really are and how bad they screwed up with FTX. I know other YouTubers are making whole shows about hammering on Gensler. You can wrap your whole show around Gensler or around the people from 2022. What I want to do is I want to wrap my show around any possible buying opportunities off any shock that may occur over the next, say, 10 days. Somewhere in here, there's a surprise buying opportunity. Not investment advice. Now, Q-Boyd is saying this is the trippiest stream ever. Okay. Supreme Court rules that XRP Bakcs the fair value notice. Whoops. Okay, breaking news here. FTX debtors are seeking an injunction relief to relock $9 billion or more in value from shareholders of the Grayscale and Bitcoin Ethereum Trust. Okay, so again, if they're looking to unlock value, that means they may be looking to sell Bitcoin or Ethereum via the equity market. Not sure how bullish or bearish that is, but it sort of feels like there's a liquidation event coming. Now, let's go back to XRP. The Supreme Court has come out with a ruling, okay? It's actually in sort of an obscure tax case. Okay, now I was able to get a unique interpretation of this Supreme Court ruling and summarize it in a Twitter thread. So I'm going to look at this and then we'll look at the XRP chart. Okay. The Supreme Court's fair notice ruling. The Supreme Court has ruled that the SEC did not give fair notice to market participants in the case against Ripple Labs and XRP. So this is interesting, right? The ruling wasn't about XRP itself, but the fair notice ruling may be applied to the case. The court's ruling means that the SEC's case against Ripple and XRP will likely be dismissed. Can you imagine? The SEC getting thrown out of court, although the agency could pursue other claims against the company. This ruling is a possible win for the whole crypto industry, as it sets a precedent that regulators must provide fair notice to market participants when enforcing securities laws. It also shows that courts are willing to push back against overreaching by regulatory agencies. The decision could have a significant impact on how the SEC and other regulators approach the crypto industry going forward. It underscores the need for clear and consistent guidelines. So overall, this Supreme Court's fair notice ruling is a major development. It sets an important precedent that could shape regulation. So this is the Blockworks, right? This is the Blockworks article about the SEC and Ripple. And this is the article from Reuters about the Supreme Court ruling, which again is about an unrelated thing. Now, can you imagine if there was actually something out there made by the Supreme Court that not only gets XRP off the hook, but creates the reason to buy this market in the event of forced selling? Like, what's the bullish dream in big cap crypto, right? Is that they watch it out, they wash it out, okay? They wash it out on forced selling, and you get to stand down there and just buy it, right? As they're forced to sell. Now, again, we don't know where that forced selling is coming from, but if we go to DeMark, it's coming from somewhere. Okay, so this is Ethereum. This is a 4-hour chart, right? And it's pretty simple. Megan is here. Welcome. So it looks like we're in the metaverse on YouTube. We appreciate everybody standing by, hanging in with us. This is resistance in ETH at 1587. And when you have formations like this, when you go down and there's absolutely no bounce, to me, this is forced selling. Okay, now let's switch over to XRP just briefly. So I'm not the only one who's like wants to play the guessing game at how this ruling relates to XRP. XRP held support, and now it wants to try and rally. Now, hopefully, when something comes out that's positive for XRP, the whole market doesn't get wrecked. If the whole market does get wrecked, I think grabbing XRP is a viable idea if the chart holds together. Let's go back to Bitcoin. Okay, 4-hour chart of Bitcoin. So this is kind of a new tool. It's not a new tool. It's been in the system. But there's a lot of like little bullish candlestick formations here. That's what these green boxes are. So the DeMark work reads whether or not a candlestick formation is bullish or bearish. And what's interesting is there's all these little bullish candles, which you would think would be a base, right? You'd think this is some sort of a base. But to me, crypto never, I don't even know when the last time I saw this pattern on an intraday chart. Okay. It actually feels like forced liquidation is happening. Like think of this like giant, like I don't know how to explain it. There's a giant amount of crypto in this area so that anytime someone wants to buy, they can just come and take a little. Because the amount of crypto that's sitting here for sale is epic. That's why bulls can't get anything going on the upside. So forced liquidation is definitely possible. Definitely possible. Eric, we appreciate everybody staying in here. If you're having a problem with the video, my understanding is you can switch over and watch the stream on Twitter. We appreciate anybody who's hanging in with us. Okay, ETH on the daily chart, right? So down. Okay, DeMark usually goes, the first part of a trend to be 1 through 9. So far, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. These numbers come from a set of conditions. So if the low is lower than the low 2 days ago, this is an example. DeMark work will assign that a 1, acknowledging that that's when those conditions were present. If those conditions are present 9 days, that can either be the first part of a trend or the start of a range. I'm wondering whether or not it's like an event, meaning crypto, like a lot of people think this was the flash crash. I'm wondering if there's just going to be like a gigantic wick down, like one of the biggest wick downs in the history of crypto. And I'm wondering whether or not that's a buy because liquidity gets unlocked and people are forced to sell, whether it's Grayscale or whether it's Silvergate. Somewhere in here, somebody is being forced to sell crypto. So the title of the stream is, can crypto recover? Yes. I think it's a V bottom. Okay. CBOT Long Bond Futures. Now, as you can see here, if we focus in on the daily candles, this white line represents a level that would trigger a much bigger decline in bonds. Okay. So, bonds crack the level, everyone gets short, they get stopped. Bonds crack the level, it's going to zero, right? Everyone gets stopped. I mean, everyone. I mean, even people who shorted it on the 23rd. Now, if they have stopped everyone out of this formation and bonds go below 124.09, this is the Chicago Board of Trade Bond Futures. Okay. Chicago Board of Trade Bond Futures. If this could go materially lower, okay, it's going to happen next week off inflation and the Fed, right? Inflation, unemployment, Fed testimony in front of Congress. If long-term interest rates start rising because bonds start going down and you have a forced liquidation event in crypto, that's how you could get this all of a sudden vortex of selling, which I think is a huge opportunity. Huge. The only question is, how big is the vortex? Now, when I get this kind of breaking news, like this just got set up now, okay? So, if $9 billion is going to get unlocked from Grayscale and Ethereum trusts, as I understand it, the parent entity of the Grayscale trust is somehow exposed to the insolvency process with FTX. And there is fine print in Grayscale, which is the GBTC and ETHE. These products do have clauses that said if the parent entity is in trouble, that they can start to liquidate the Bitcoin inside the trust to plug the hole. And again, this is coming out like as I'm on the air. So I'm in favor of having cash on the sideline, because when you look at price action like this, especially if things are supposed to be constructive here and they're not, like every rally is getting sold, something is wrong. Something's wrong. Right now, I don't have to be like Joe Fudster, because I was like Joe Fud, oh my God, up here. And now that this has started, this may just continue, and this may tell you why. And what's really interesting is that Bitcoin futures funding rates are still positive. In other words, people haven't like really gone into like short selling mode or hedging mode in Bitcoin yet. I also understand it from sources I see on Twitter that people have decided to go to the crypto casino, and leverage has actually increased while market is in this range. In other words, people, I get it. They're basically saying, all right, with crypto acting like this, eventually this thing could turn around and break out. And people are willing to just literally get levered and bet one way or the other. Now, people who are betting on up, if the market goes down, there won't be any liquidity, right? And Stefan is asking, what about Bakcs? And exactly. Like, what happens, just generally speaking, right? I mean, you can go through this FUD and that FUD. I like the XRP news as a counter, because I think you sell Gensler, particularly after he showed up on the front, in an article in New York Magazine like a hero. Interesting that some obscure Supreme Court thing could actually cause them to like lose the case or get thrown out of court. All right. Now, that said, that positive development is not going to stop a forced liquidation event in crypto. So if it's Mt. Gox, if it's Grayscale, somebody is exposed to Silvergate. In other words, the market went down only and stayed down for a reason. Right? I mean, make no mistake about that. So like portfolio adjustments may need to occur. They may need to occur. I like this. I read motivational reels on Instagram talking about like, if you really go out there and try hard and, as these reels say, if you're like a savage, you can do really well because there's a lot of people out there supposedly that are just not that tough anymore. Okay. And, when a guy like this is petitioning a court to watch Netflix, like, I understand you don't want to just be bored, but you could be bored in jail, which is probably where this guy is going. This guy's not doing himself any favors. And the reason I brought up the motivational stuff is, if you can be strong enough and work hard enough, I think you can really get ahead in life if this is the example of what's really out there as your competition. Now, I know this guy had millions. This guy built this huge empire, but look at the way he's acting. Like, do you want to act like that? Like, to be honest with you, just a little bit of a personal confession. I woke up this morning. I was like, wow, what am I going to say on TV? Wah. And then I saw this. I'm like, I don't want to be like this guy. Right? I don't want to be like this guy. Right? So Megan is talking with some guys in here. He thinks Big Rich thinks Max Payne trade is coming. Megan kind of agrees. I think he's right. Right? Max Payne is that this thing just goes like straight down. Right? In other words, if I try to like focus in here on Bitcoin, in other words, what would happen if there was some sort of wick that just like, like you went straight up here? Like what would happen if just there was like 1 or 2 days where it just literally went down, 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 wick and came back? Is that really ridiculous to have that happen? Right. I was looking at what the flash crash of 2010 looked like. Now, it's not applicable visually, but I do remember it. In other words, the market went down, and then what happened was, it's actually just from one of our classes this morning. Somebody was kind of like leaning on the market, showing how much they had for sale, and all the bids started canceling. Now, whether they actually had that much for sale or not, nobody knows. But they scared the buyers out of the market enough so that when sellers really did come in, there was no one there to take the other side. This really happened in 2010. This really happened. Okay. It was, in crypto terms, it wasn't a big deal. In equities, to have equities go down 5 or 7% in one day, that's a big deal. So if you have Grayscale news here that's constructive, great. If you have XRP news, now you know why XRP, everybody is buying it at 36 cents. Because if you apply this ruling to XRP, yeah, I know it's a stretch, right? But if XRP and the SEC did not give Ripple fair notice, that's getting thrown out of court. And not to mention, fair notice could take all of Gensler's, ridiculous regulatory framework and throw it out the door. Which is ironic, right? You have a bullish fundamental development as people are forced selling or doing forced selling. What's happening to the screen with the kaleidoscope filter? Yes, we are having technical difficulties. We are having technical difficulties. I'm trying to get to fix the 360 view, and it doesn't seem to want to come off that. So this is what we're looking at today. So I'm going to keep it real short. Now, I do want to go to stocks. Let's just talk about this for a second. All right. So we're looking at warped bill today. No big deal. I'm just going to keep it real short. Now, I do want to talk about equities. One of the things that can happen before a big move, right? In other words, I actually do think people are way too bearish equities. Okay? And you can tell because this is like a 4-hour chart of stocks, right? And obviously, like with bonds, people got way too short, way too bearish, and then it's just up only. And they squeeze everybody out right in front of a series of events. No, I mean, they ran right into this resistance point, and I had to learn the hard way. So I'm reflecting that onto you that, you know, these horizontal resistance points are to be expected. Okay. So stocks went up only, and then it could turn around and be down only on negative Fed news. Okay. So just be advised that we're entering like a 10-day period where you're asking yourself, if the falling knife occurs, if the blow up happens, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Okay. Someone's asking, is Gala a good buy after a huge pump today? All right. So here's most likely what's happening. You get the 13 bottom in Gala and it pumps. Now, most of the metaverse is also pumping today. Sandbox, Decentraland, before I was coming on the air. Okay. In a perfect world, right? This would be a bottom. Like I'd be screaming buy everything because this is really good looking. Like if you look at the candlestick formations. Okay, this right here was a very bullish setup with the 13 bottom with these candlesticks. This is very bullish. Okay. So if you liked Gala and you believed that there wasn't going to be forced selling, I would definitely be going with this. I would personally not buy anything that's up 9% today. Okay. I personally would not. Like it seems clear you want to buy dips because the Wicked Witch is dead. The Supreme Court killed Gensler's regulatory framework. I just don't know if it's been traded yet. I don't know if you can trade it. You can't trade speculation. You have to trade outcomes. But the XRP case has news relevant for the rest of crypto. Now, Cardano. So this is part of what I'm talking about. This is the 13 bottom in Cardano. You got to rally. But the thing is, it turns around and comes back off again. Right? It's not that I don't like Cardano. It's not. I do like Cardano. It's just that somebody is going to be forced to sell, right? Someone is going to be forced to sell. And when forced selling occurs, two things. Declines are always more violent, right? Rudy says, beware of the failed rally. That's true. So declines can always be more violent, and forced selling lasts longer than you think. And when forced selling is over, the market kind of like levitates higher. So it's like down, down, uptick, down, down, and then back. Because if they have to liquidate out of the Grayscale trust to cover losses elsewhere, they might be selling at the market. Now, I know the stream's messed up today, but I did want to I want to see if I can bring this up in a sane, responsible manner. Okay. So let's go to like a Bitcoin monthly chart. Let's try to convert it to weekly. Well, we appreciate everybody standing by with the technical difficulties. All right. I've lost the DeMark system, so let's try to do it this way verbally. If I said to you that the market could make a new low, like there could be a new low. Here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna take this off and this off. So this is ETH, right? Now the recent decline started up here, right? 1, 2, 3. Most big trends have 5 waves. The DeMark system is now registering the Feb 13th high as a 4, implying that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That there could be a final 5th wave down in Ethereum. And it's the same thing in Bitcoin. Now, I have not made separate videos about this. I have not been like, oh, Bitcoin 14K. I decided not to do that for a couple of reasons. One, I'm going to get labeled a fudster, and I don't want to be labeled a fudster. But after seeing this Grayscale news and after seeing this, like what they call the pet the grass pattern, where the market doesn't move after going down the way it did. What happens if this thing wicks to a new low? Like if it like wicks as in like it goes down and down and down and down, but doesn't stay down and comes back. Somebody just heaves huge amounts of Bitcoin or Ethereum into the market. This is something you got to think about. So I'm going to leave you with 2 things. One, if you're over the gills long in speculative coins, can you tolerate a 50% drawdown in the event of a vortex lower? If not, and some of these rallies in these Web3 coins may be an excuse to lighten up. Like I want to like the market, but not when it's down only. Okay. Second, if you did lighten up, not investment advice, how much capital could you raise in the event something stupid happens? Because if Silvergate goes out of business and they start liquidating all this crypto from last year starts getting unlocked, all this collateral starts getting sold, you may wind up with a very, very good opportunity to buy crypto. In other words, it may wind up being the opposite of this. See how this was like, this is a weekly chart, so it took long, but, it was like up only and then down only, right? This is what we could be looking at on the downside. Now, is it going to take a day, a week, 3 weeks? I don't know. This feels like when it's down only and doesn't move, it feels like forced selling. But this V pattern may repeat itself down here. I'm hoping it's not 6 or 8 weeks. Okay. But if it's 6 or 8 days, is your portfolio ready? All right, sir. That's going to be it today. Friends, Megan, everybody, SFG who joined. We appreciate you putting up with the technical difficulties. This is Bill Noble from the Market Update. We'll see you tomorrow.